Other way.
There we go. That says all four.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6:30 on the dot. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Mulberry City Council. We're going to start with an invocation and a pledge, as we always do. I'll say the invocation, and we have a special guest here to say the pledge. I'll introduce him after. So if you're able, if you could stand. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this group of people you brought together in this community. Please bless us and help us to always keep our eyes to and help guide our decisions to make the best possible decisions for this community. Please bless everyone, keep them safe, and as we discuss education tonight, please bless all the children that live in the city of Mulberry. In your son's name we pray. Amen. All right, if you remain standing, my son, Theodore Coker, is here. He's been practicing. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so come on up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good job. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the roll, as we always do. We're going to go in the order of districts. We're going to start with District 1, Councilman Tim Sullivan. District 2, Michael Coker, that's me. District 3, Kyle Shields. District 4, our Mayor Pro Tem Michael Rudnick.
Present.
And then District 5, Councilman Doug Ingram.
Present.
All right, if we could notate tonight that we have, who's doing the minutes tonight? Nancy. Okay. If you could notate that 4 of the 5 council members are here, we have a quorum this evening. All right, that will bring us to the mayor's opening comments. First off, welcome everybody to the new home of the Mulberry City Council. We're very proud of our new space. Obviously gives us a little more breathing room. And as you'll also be able to tell, it's a lot cooler in here. We are not sweating, which is great as well. I just want to say thank you to staff. They have worked tirelessly. This team has been moving furniture. They've been loading the back of pickup trucks. I mean, they've been working double time to get over here. So I definitely want to say thank you to all of them on our behalf, the council's behalf, for all their hard work. Would any of the other council like to make an opening statement?
No, I just want to say it looks great in here, and thank y'all very much for all the work that y'all did.
Echo that as well. Thank y'all. Been hard. It's I don't think a lot of the folks know how many challenges there are in starting a city as quickly as the one that's been started. It's Mulberry, and so it takes a really committed group of people, and we're lucky to have all y'all. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
No.
Okay. All right, that will bring us to, well, I should have said this ahead of time. We have copies of the agenda up here on the podium. You will not offend us if you want to come up and grab a copy, follow along kind of where we are throughout the meeting. That'll bring us to item G, which is the city manager's opening comment. City manager like to make any comments?
Well, first I'll say this, right, so there's some things that are on this agenda and, that we've been discussing beforehand as far as build to rent and, short-term rentals. Staff is requesting that you'll, table that item until the November 6th meeting, just because we wanted to make sure we got everything set up here and then did the research that was necessary. In addition to that, there was one application that was withdrawn, that would have been on this agenda, and then there is one that you all will see. I'm trying to figure out which item it was again. No. Oh, item A on action item to part 2. That case will be on the November 6th meeting. And I do want to thank Kelly and Joy, because all of this, as far as ordering everything, putting it together, getting it all here, like, staff has been amazing, but the rest of us kind of kept the ship running while they put all this together. And so we really wouldn't be here without you guys, so thank you.
If you saw the amount of cardboard boxes. So,
Yeah, excuse y'all to you, if you had a meeting with us over the last 2 weeks and had to walk through the pile that was there.
yeah. So absolutely. So thank you again to the staff. All right, that'll bring us to item H, which is the consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. We already have a proposed amendment to remove or table, it looks like action item L in part 2, public hearing cases A, to the November 6th meeting. So we will, is there any other changes that need to be made to tonight's agenda?
There is one more, Mr. Mayor. Once we really looked at the resolution again, parts A and part B of action item, KA and KB can be combined.
Okay. Anything else from the council?
I have maybe just a point of clarification. On item L, Lima, the B Bravo, the consideration of case number, it's got two, is that standard, is that how we should expect that in the future? So it looks like we've got a case for the tower, but then we have a separate case for 3209 Thompson Mill. Is that accurate or no?
I think it's a typo.
Typo? Okay.
Yeah,
So would that
should've been
normally
struck.
be, it was struck off?
It should have been, absolutely.
So the rezoning of 3209 Thompson Mill, we don't have to, we're not gonna hear that tonight?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, so then let's do this, if that's okay, Councilman Ingram. Let's just remove, after, it'll be that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth line, let's remove, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 word from the rezoning of 3209 Thompson Mill Road from RA 200 to RA 100. Are you okay if we remove that sentence? At least that's the typographical
That's it.
error.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for catching that,
Good catch,
because that's the
Mayor.
case that was actually withdrawn.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mayor, you're gonna make that in the form of a motion for the
Yes, I
amendment
will.
to the.
I will. I'm gonna make a motion once we have all of these changes proposed. Is there any other changes on the agenda?
Tammy, you mentioned, the build to rent, being on here, but tabling it to the 6th. Am I missing it on here?
No, it's not on the agenda, but you all asked for that to come back on the 16th.
Right.
And so we didn't have it on the agenda. So part of what this, right, is we didn't want to send out another agenda because we'd already sent notice to the paper. It was just easier to make the edits here. But because those weren't included and you all asked for that,
Okay.
then we just want to make sure that it was acknowledged
Okay.
in the meeting. It doesn't have to be added to the agenda,
Okay.
but it's just acknowledged that those will be on the
We
6th.
don't need to add it to table it?
No.
Okay.
Actually, the tabling is, because you set to a date certain,
Mhm.
you'd set it to this date, and you need to go ahead, table it, and reset it to the next day.
Do we have to add it to the agenda?
It should be on the agenda in paper, but, I don't know that you've done, you've reset it, you're here, it wasn't on the agenda, yeah, I'd say that you go ahead. The safest,
Understood.
the safest play is to go ahead, just to add it and then remove it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Because
Got that, Mr. Mayor?
In the item, just for clarification, the items that we had tabled were twofold, right? There was a
Yes.
short-term rental
Yeah.
Short-term rent and build to rent.
Yeah.
and both, okay. just
Yeah.
For whoever's making.
All right, anything else? My work's cut out for me tonight. All right. All right, I make a motion to amend the Mulberry City Council meeting agenda for October 16th, 2025 to first combine under action items K, item A as in apple, B as in boy, into one item. I also, as part of that motion, move to table action item LA to the November 6th meeting. As part of that motion, I also move to remove the line on the fifth line of action item LB, the rezoning of 3209 Thompson Mill Road from RA 200 to R 100. And then as part of that motion to amend the agenda, I also add action item E, a discussion of the build to rent ordinance, and action item F, a discussion of the short-term rental ordinance. Did I sufficiently state that?
You got it.
Okay. Then at this time, I make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the amendment carries. And at this time, I will make a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council regular meeting agenda for October the 16th, 2025 as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the meeting agenda for this evening is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to item I, which is the consideration of the October 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes. Is there any proposed amendments or changes to the October 2nd, 2025 meeting minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the October 2nd, 2024 presented.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the Mulberry City Council regular meetings minutes for October the 2nd, 2025 are hereby adopted as presented. All right, that brings us to action item J. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the public comment section. So we will actually have a couple different opportunities for public comments this evening, correct? There's public hearings, City Attorney, on the second reads, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're here specifically for one of the special use changes or zonings, we would encourage you to maybe wait for those to come up to give your presentation or to discuss those items. This is just the general public comment section here in item J. If you would like to give a public comment, we limit those in this section to 2 minutes. The council cannot respond to you. We will not respond to you. And our only request is when you come up, there should be a pad of paper up there, I believe.
Yes.
If you could just sign your name for the record, and then when you come up, state your name, state your address, and if you know what district of Mulberry you're in, if you could state that as well. So is there anybody who would like to give a public comment under item J? Mr. Stansel.
I seem like I get up every time, but I would like to remind everybody, well, Wayne Stampson, 3262 Stampson Drive. So I'd like to remind everybody that we have Fort Daniel Fair coming up this Saturday from 10 to 4. It's one of the most historic spots in Gwinnett County. And this fort, you can see the outline of the fort, you can see the original gate. There'll be demonstrations and there'll be music and everything. And it's free, so you can't beat the price and all. It's on Highway 124, so I'm just inviting everybody that would like to come out. We'll be glad to have you.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Mr. Stansel.
And I'm in District 3.
Perfect.
Thanks, sir.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to give a public comment at this point? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public comments under item J. That'll bring us to action items K. The first one is the combined A and B. Consideration of Resolution 2025-1050 to adopt the International Code Council's Building Valuation Data Table, and consideration of Resolution 2025-1051 to adopt the fee schedule. Who's going to present this for us? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dana Spade. I know you probably are used to Rebecca or Sarah. Rebecca's at a conference and Sarah's sick, so you
Oh,
can
no.
be third string, but some third strings are goats, just saying. Sorry, married into a Phillies family, so we're adopting the ICC valuation table for permits. The big change with that is we were actually basically giving a discount before. We were only counting unheated area for building permits. You'll notice in that table, there is a charge for, we were charging heated, we're now going to also include unheated. So there's a charge for unheated, it is a slight rate discount. So that's the big change with that. Or there's also language in there that allows us to basically preemptively just adopt that every time the ICC is adopted without coming back before you with a resolution, because that gets updated quite often, as you can probably tell from the 2025 date. The fee schedule was going to be amended to include for modifications. There's some language about modifications in the code, but we realized that's actually already in the fee schedule. So it's really just the ICC valuation data.
there any questions about these two resolutions from the council? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this for these two resolutions.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-10-50 and 2025-10-51 as presented.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion about this? Hearing none, I'll call a vote on these two resolutions. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, resolution 2025-1050 and 2025-1051 are both hereby adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be back.
All right, that brings us to action item KC, which is the eSPLOS capital plan presentation update. So we're gonna turn that over to Patrick, so we get that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. No, thank you, Mayor and Council. I am joined this evening by Greg Johnson, who's in the back of the room. He's our Executive Director of Budget. Budget. Am I getting that right?
That works.
So we brought him along for the conversation to be able to answer any questions you may have. Council probably already knows, but just want to share some facts. City of Mulberry is the largest city with respect to total number of students, total number of parents, as well as total number of employees with Gwinnett County Public Schools. So, myself included, I'm right in that road, right across the way. So, thank you all for having me this evening. It's a pleasure to share information with the public about the upcoming eSPLOS. We're going to talk a little bit about the updated 5-year capital plan, the November eSPLOS referendum, and I always like to talk about these by taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. We do an updated capital plan every 5 years. That's statutory for facilities, so we align our processes with that. You may be asking yourselves, well, what's in a capital plan for a school district? And I'd invite you to sort of walk through the day in the life of a student. It's the school bus our students step onto each morning. It's the construction and renovation of our schools and learning environments. It's the technology materials our staff use with our students every day. It's the safety and security we put in place. It's even the chairs we sit on in our schools. All of those items have historically been provided as part of the capital plan and capital budget. There's an old saying in planning, failing to plan is planning to fail. I'm sure everyone here has heard that phrase. We will always update our capital plans in alignment with state statute. Plan for the future, it's a responsible thing to do. We have to plan for these things. The question really ultimately becomes, how did the taxpayers of Gwinnett County want to pay for that? Like all Metro Atlanta school districts for over 25 years, Gwinnett County Public Schools has utilized the eSPLOS Education Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, the additional penny per dollar we pay when we purchase items here in Gwinnett, as the primary funding mechanism for capital. I'm going to begin with a short informational video, and then I'll go into, it covers some of what we're currently doing with the capital plan. Then I'll go into what's in the 5-year plan, and then end with questions you may have.
Give us 2 seconds because we're trying to do this. I'm on 2 screens. Yep. Until we figure out how to look. So. The sound's off on both of them. See what's low on the computer? It's on the computer. I'm turning it up on the video. Video.
Pennies make a difference in our schools. For over 25 years, eSPLOS, a 1-cent sales tax, has funded the tools, spaces, and upgrades our schools need. This November, voters in Gwinnett County are being asked to continue what is already helping Gwinnett County students learn and thrive.
We are so fortunate to have East Blast and what it does to provide security for our schools. Unfortunately, we are in a world to where we have to focus on these security measures, and we must respond in ways that places our children in the most safe environment that's productive for them to reach their optimal performance. We are able to keep up with advancements with technology because our citizens have deemed that school security is something that is a high priority, and they're showing it every time East Blast comes up because they're supporting it, whether they have children in our district or not. So we're extremely grateful for what East Blast has done for us and our constituents here in Gwinnett County Public Schools.
Our school buildings, technology, and safety systems must be updated regularly to serve our students well. East Lost also helps students get to school safely by supporting our bus fleet.
We have one of the largest district-owned fleets in the nation. Since 2018, we've been able to purchase 100 new buses annually with these SPLOST dollars, reducing the average age of our fleet. We've been able to add AC as standard equipment on all new bus purchases. New buses also have backup cameras, illuminated stop arms, and illuminated cross mirrors, therefore increasing the safety of our students both on the bus and off the bus. So these East Plus dollars, they go a long ways towards ensuring a safe, reliable, and timely trip to and from school for our students.
And what East Lost has helped us accomplish extends far beyond safety and transportation. East Lost funds help keep our schools up to date, from the buildings to the technology used in each classroom every school day.
It's important to reinvest in aging schools in our county because we want our students to work in modern spaces that lend to 21st century education. What you'll see here in the Archer New Edition, not only did we get 27 new classrooms, but we also have 5 new collaborative spaces on each floor. This will help our students have more discussions and work together more. The improvements provided by SPLOST funding impacts the student experience from even the smaller things like upgrades and lighting and new carpet for each classroom.
We utilize SPLOST dollars to not only renovate and expand the facilities, but we also use these funds to be able to purchase technology within these spaces. East Blast has helped our CTE programs to really expand in a tremendous way. We teach over 60 different pathways within Gwinnett County Public Schools, including computer science at the K-5 level. With East Blast, it allows us to stay current with today's global demands on our workforce. We're really focused in on high wage, high skill, and in-demand programming for our students to make sure that we're offering the best programs available.
If approved on November 4th, East Lost will continue helping us keep learning environments safe, modern, and well-equipped, setting our students up for success.
And if there's anything else that you would like to learn about East Blast and all of the initiatives that we've had in the past as well as moving forward, please go to our district's website. It is a phenomenal resource that allows for everyone in our community to connect with the things that are happening in our district.
Dr. Gresham's a better speaker than I, which is why they picked him for the video. So that's an informational video, some of the things that we're currently doing with the East Lost program. Again, voters will decide on November 4th and probably before November 4th if they're going to support the continuation of the 1 penny sales tax to fund capital expenditures in the school district. I would like to mention what it is and what it isn't. So if the voters approve the sales tax on November 4th, this is a continuation of the existing 1 penny sales tax. So it's not an additional penny on top of the penny that we're collecting today. It's not a property tax. Property tax, so we can't pay for things like operational expenses. We can't buy teachers, we can't buy bus drivers. This is purely for capital expenditures only. Teachers, bus drivers, utilities, diesel fuel, those are all items that reside within the general fund budget, and that's where our property tax and state revenue go. So East Plus is a separate, dedicated revenue source just for capital expenditures. So what's included in the updated capital plan? So we completed an analysis of our capital needs and prioritized them, and they fit sort of nicely into 3 big buckets: safety and security, facilities, and technology. Under safety and security, if you go in our schools today, you'll see a lot of the safety enhancements. I won't repeat what Dr. Gresham already reviewed, but school benefits from the use of capital dollars to upgrade safety and security. The camera systems, fencing, all of those items are line items within our capital budgets that help support safety. You notice the weapons detection implementation that's new this year. High schools, middle schools are supposed to be implemented during this school year. But it's that layered approach for safety. It does not replace the human element of safety. We have to train our staff. We have response capability. We work with our local jurisdictions to ensure we have rapid response because we know that is the #1 thing that keeps people safe when you have a major event. East Bluff can't pay for that police officer, but it does pay for the police vehicle in the back of the picture. And again, fleet safety, that's huge. We're so thankful for our state to give us about 10% of the funding we need to replace our fleet in a timely manner, but the other 90% does come from the 1 penny sales tax in the current capital budget. I will keep my comments short on facilities. I can talk an hour about this, so I won't. Three big buckets here: renovations, modifications, and expansions. Renovations is what you would do at your home. So everybody, I don't know about you all, but our neighborhood's about 20, 22 years old. Just like we have to replace air handlers and compressors and roofs, school districts are the same. Average age of our facility is about 24 years. You may recall what we were doing here in Gwinnett County about 25 years ago. We were growing rapidly. Many of those capital items, those facility assets, they're due for renewal. So this has a heavy investment, more than double the investment in the current plan to reinvest in the existing schools. You see the categories there. I won't hit all of them. I will hit one thing. We do keep a separate fund within the capital budget for urgent or emergent items that surface. These are unplanned capital renewals. Say you have a rooftop unit go out or a cooling tower, which we saw in the video. You have funding available, and that keeps that out of the general fund, so it's not touching teaching and learning funding. Modifications, it's sort of self-explanatory. I always say renovations really are about the building. Modifications focus on how we're attaching the building to learning. So athletic venues, we build athletic venues, we have to renovate athletic venues, turf track, those are items ultimately replaced through our capital plan. Playgrounds, same at the elementary schools. Middle schools, we put fields at every middle school, but we don't rate them in a way that they're really conducive to athletics. And we do have new athletic programs. So we're trying to align facilities better with what we're doing in the classroom. You see all those other enhancements there. I won't review them again. Mr. Heeman's talked about CTAE and how we keep our classrooms relevant to workforce development. That's a huge part of what we're doing. There was an expansion. We do have parts of the county that are rapidly growing. If you drive down Loganville Highway, you'll see it in action. We have one particular cluster, 92 trailers have shown up over the past 3 years, 0 to 92. So there are an expansion to make sure that we're able to address overcrowding in parts of the county. We also have a new centralized career and agricultural technology high school. You may be familiar with the Maxwell program. The lines for the Maxwell program are quite extensive. We're trying to create new opportunities for our kiddos. Again, the idea is certainly available for kids who are going to college, but we're also trying to develop the workforce of the future. Technology, student, staff, classroom technology, those are all things supported through the capital plan. The network systems, wired, unwired systems, many of the software licenses we use for cybersecurity are all paid for in the capital plan. Textbooks are currently a part of the capital plan in Gwinnett County Public Schools. Equipment like PE, musical equipment, all of those are funds established within the capital budgets for renewal. So those are the big buckets we're planning for over the next 5 years. East Bluff, I'm sure council knows, it's a consumption tax, so folks who come to Gwinnett, if you work a penny for every dollar to the overall needs of our students. It keeps or shares that responsibility with people outside the county, so it's not just on our property owners and our residents. A little bit about the budget. This is kind of how it's broken out in the long-range 5-year plan. I will say that many of these buckets sort of intersect with one another. Intercom systems, you might think that's facilities, well, it's really technology. So, but there's a lot of interaction among these buckets. We're anticipating a 5-year collection period extension. If the voters approve that, will generate about $1.4 billion. You'll see that in the referendum if you go to vote, because by law we have to put a cap. I've already mentioned everything else here, I think. Okay, for more information, Dr. Gresham already said it, we have a lot of information on our website. Dr. Taylor, our superintendent, our intern superintendent, has been very clear on his expectations about transparency. And if you go to that website, you're going to see a lot more information than you have ever seen before from us. Every project we've done over the past few years, except for those emergency projects for facilities and technology, they're present there. And then plans for every cluster, so you can literally cluster in Mill Creek and see what's planned, Mill Creek or Seconder or Tequila. And with that, oh, and there's an email address there. If you have any questions, please feel free to call. But I stand ready to answer any questions council may have.
Any questions from the council?
No, I'm good.
I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
So I've got to be careful here because I need Mr. Burke's vote on the next election, hopefully. He's one of my constituents.
You know, I was so impressed with him at the door. I know you probably all know that, but he met my wife.
Yeah, no, but Mr. Burke does a great job for our schools, and has a very difficult job to look after. How many schools are in the district?
Over 140, it's 142, but one of them is a charter school.
Okay, so 142 schools in Gwinnett County, which is amazing. And 25 years ago, I think there was like 25 schools in the county. So we have grown. You mentioned growth. My understanding is the growth in the county itself has been, from a student population, has been pretty stagnant the last 4 or 5 years. Is that, to me, it sounds like individuals moving within the county. Is that accurate, or do you have a way of telling that?
It's really tough to get at the exact why. We knew enrollment was going to start to decline. Everybody thought there was going to be a baby boom from COVID. Oh no, it was the absolute opposite. Everybody wanted to see that they're part of the house, so we had a baby bus. Those kiddos showed up in kindergarten this year, so we have a smaller kindergarten class than we had last year, which was lower than the year before. So there is some natural decline happening. We did project decline in the enrollment. The challenge is it's not uniform throughout the county, right? Parts of the county are fairly stable, parts of the county are growing.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it
parts of this
people moving from, Mill Creek cluster to the Grayson cluster, or Grayson cluster to, another cluster? Is there any way to find out that data?
It's a great question. Thank you, Councilman. It's hard to track. We've never tried to track them over the geography. We do look at a variety of data sources. IRS actually keeps data on where people go to and from on an annual basis. They have a migration file, so you can see some of that.
Gotcha.
But within the county, it's really hard to track.
Yeah, you get 93 trailers is a lot for, one school. You go from 0 to 93?
It's several schools. It's the Grayson cluster is the one I'm referring to, but they had 93 trailers in 3 years. It looks like the late 1990s, early 2000s down there.
Wow. What happens if this doesn't pass to the district?
So I'm gonna probably bring Greg up, but I'll talk. He'll correct me. How about that?
Sure.
Come on up.
Yeah.
Greg. So, ultimately it's a budget discussion, right? Every year we build a budget. Currently, we have East Los in the overall total budget of the district. There are really 2 funds, if you look at the total fund for Gwinnett County Public Schools, that can pay for capital expenditures. School nutrition can buy equipment. That's really the general fund or the capital fund. So it gets into a conversation of combination of increasing revenue, potentially making adjustments to staffing or other things. It ultimately becomes a conversation within the budget season. I don't want to preview that or too much, because we would have to sort of look at the bigger context. What does this mean in the short run, and what could it mean in the long run, if that makes sense? You want to?
Yeah, sure. I'll add just one thing. So the other funding source that this would go to is obviously general fund, like you said. That fund is 89.6% salaries and benefits. So when you talk about what levers can you pull, you have a people lever that is a large one, but obviously you're impacting some sort of service, whether it be it's impacting somebody somewhere. So, it creates real challenges on the general fund, because a bare bones capital plan would be roughly 250 million a year. And you know, that is a very large number, that really would impact some service somewhere. You mentioned the revenue, obviously raising revenue. Really our only control on that is property tax. There's a cap on that. So it's not like we could say, oh, we're gonna take property tax to cover the full amount. That's not possible. So it'd be a combination of raising additional revenue and then making really tough choices about allocation of resources.
Okay. I just have one more question. You mentioned school safety, which is obviously very important. Made some big upgrades this year within the district. Are there any plans in the 5-year capital plan to add additional, or not additional, first SROs to elementary schools?
So it's actually part of the, again, can't pay for it out of capital. It's a
Right.
general fund.
But the equipment, things like that, yeah.
Correct. So yes, thank you for raising that question. We are investing in expanding the police force to include elementary schools. I think it's 15 this year. It's kind of a rolled out plan, but the intention is exactly that. Increase the size of the force so that we have coverage at our elementary schools as well.
Gotcha.
The plan does include growing the fleet aligned to that.
Gotcha.
It's 15 this year, I think.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, if the school district could hire enough police officers to staff all elementary schools, that would have been a priority this year. However, the police chief said there's no way I can hire that many. So I think it's a long-term commitment to have a SRO at every school building. It will just take some time. So you'll see that number grow every year as the district approaches
So the
that.
funds are available now to hire an SRO at every school?
I think they would have been prioritized, is the better way to say it. So the governor increased the safety and security grant, which I want to say we're at $14 million a year now. That pays for a lot of SROs, and that's a new funding source. So if that would have been dedicated 100% to SROs, could they have hired that many in 1 year? So over the long run, that's going to be the priority.
We do have a non-sworn personnel at every location right now, so there are safety personnel, I think we call them school safety officers, but they're not post-certified officers, but we are.
That's a new program that started this year, right?
It is.
They don't carry weapons and they don't interact with students. They are securing the perimeter of the buildings.
Right. But they're doing the things you would expect somebody to do, checking the doors, looking for suspicious individuals walking the sites.
Any other questions from the council?
Two quick questions. Thank you for the presentation, it was great. One of the things that we see out there, I know some of the constituents, at least in my district, have talked about kind of this concept of value for dollar, so to speak. Do you have metrics with the budgeting process that you've established that kind of show efficacy, if you will, for the dollars invested? Because that's, I think, where some of the folks have questions.
Absolutely, and I know our budget is huge.
Yeah.
We all recognize that. It's important also to acknowledge it's about just north of 10% of the total FTE of the state of Georgia is here in Gwinnett County Public Schools.
Okay.
I'll let Greg talk about the per FTE or the what it looks like from an expenditure perspective.
It's not a gotcha question.
No,
Legitimately,
it's a legitimate question.
It's one of the things I hear about is just, we're being asked, there's tax dollars. What is when they look at it on an average student basis, what's the spend? There's a trend there. So then, but some could say, I don't want to give you, I'll just try to be unbiased, but when I look, security obviously is a big thing. So I'm sure your security budget is had some rapid acceleration. So when you look at an average student basis, the world has changed in the last decade. So a lot of those dollars, I'm sure, have gone to security. So I'm just curious about how.
Sure. So great question. And I'm talking to the finance guy. So, and what I always say is there's unlimited needs in this district. So if there's a dollar being misused somewhere, I want to know about it so we can go put it somewhere where we need it. Because there are real needs throughout the different district. You mentioned the growth in trailers, just one example. Not even talking about a student in the classroom at that point. The budget has, so yes, the starting place of the budget process, we work with every division chief and say the starting place is you reallocate funds within your current budget. So we have the term strategic abandonment in Gwinnett. And so is there a program that we need to strategically abandon so that we can do this other program that has more ROI, is moving the needle on student achievement? That's the starting place. Any new money that gets added is put into one bucket, presented to the superintendent, and the priorities are weighed. Superintendent makes a decision on any new money. What's happened over the past 5-6 years, we've had historic increases in property taxes or property values, which tie right into property taxes. And then on the flip side of that, you look at the inflation number. We've had historic inflation numbers that we haven't seen in 40, 50 years, which obviously means the cost of everything goes up. So, if inflation is 15% and you tell an employee you're gonna get a 2% raise this year, that's a really hard conversation to have. One of the videos that we have out there talks about the investments in teachers. I mentioned our budget is 89.6% salaries and benefits. The increase from 2019 to today is about $1 billion. 711 million of that is salaries and benefit increases, and about another 150 to 200 million of that is investments in programs at the school. So a lot of those salaries and benefits increases weren't even a choice of ours. Health insurance and retirement mandates, we participate in the state health benefit program, as well as the teachers retirement system of Georgia. That's 311 million right off the top, had we done nothing else. So I think the cost of everything has increased over time. When you're 89.6% salaries and benefits, a 1% increase is a very large number of a $2.7
Is that
million.
89.6, is that direct to students, or is that all staff?
No, about 82% of everything that we spend, we call instructional services, so it is directly at the school building or in direct support of the school. I know there is this perception about central office bloat. I've worked in different districts, and I came and I'll give you one example. It's definitely not in finance. My budget team is 3 people. I worked for DeKalb schools, and I had 5 people. They're a fourth of the size. So at the central office, there's real, it takes you have to move a mountain to add a head count at the central office. And when they do add head count at central office, and I think Gwinnett does this really great, if we wanted to support students with literacy, for example, if you want to add 1 person at every school, it's $125,000 per person roughly across 142 locations. So what Gwinnett does is we use a cluster model where you hire 1 person, they support 20 schools, and gets to getting ROI on the dollars and really trying to move the needle and spread resources out. So,
One of the things I'd like to mention just very briefly in the facility and operations world, again, I'm fairly new to Gwinnett County Public Schools, but 26 years in the business of K-12 operations. I will tell you there's not a district I know of that tries to get every year out of a facility asset that they can get. We're not going to replace something until we need to replace it. We have a very active preventative maintenance, so about 20% of our work orders are PMs on our facility assets. We're replacing things at year 29, 30, 31, where other districts are replacing at year 22, 23. So we're going to try to squeeze every penny out of an asset that we can here at Gwinnett County Public Schools.
Any other questions?
I just got one more thing. You mentioned, district bloat. There's has been an increase in headcount at the district fairly significantly over the last 5 years. There's also been an increase in overall employee salary, which there should be. But I don't think it's been commensurate with the standard increases that society has seen in my research and things that I've been shown. So I would love to see the district continue to, or not continue, but begin to save some of those pennies, then find ways to spend those pennies. And I just want, we have to budget at the city level. I work in the public sector. I have to budget my department. And the increase in the school system budget has gone from 1-point-something billion to 3.4 billion. I think it's a 46 or 54% increase in 3 or 4 years. So, this is an important issue for the voters to decide. But I think what you guys do, educating our children, is the most important thing in our society that happens. The next generation, we won't be anything without them. And it's what made Gwinnett County, Gwinnett County. It's why people are here. And we need to keep people here, continue to grow the base of wonderful children. And that starts with, our district. So we need you guys.
if I could just plug, the budget survey is going on right now. It closes in 3 days. So I'd love to hear your feedback. Please fill out the survey. I think we had 10,000 responses last year, which I think is way too few, given the size of Gwinnett County, so.
Where's the budget survey located?
You can find it, the district, if you look at the district's webpage, it'll be up there on the top. There's a floating tile that moves across,
Gotcha.
and it'll be there.
All right, any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate y'all and the work you do. All right, that brings us to action items L, part 2. These are our public hearing cases. Under that item A was the one that was pushed to the November 6th meeting. That will bring us to action item B, consideration of case number TSP 2025-07-14 or 1304 and VAR 2025-07-1305. All right, we'll hear from. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of your first meetings. How we do this, there will be a staff presentation from the city staff of their review. Then we will open it up for those in favor or those, the applicant to come up and give a statement. It'll be limited to 10 minutes. And then for anyone who wants to speak in opposition, that will also be limited to 10 minutes there at the end. So we will, we'll get to that. So we're going to start with the staff presentation on this particular item. Thank you.
Can you skip ahead? Sorry about that. Hello again. So for this case, we had, this is actually the second read. We actually had a public hearing on October 2nd. So we actually don't need to have another public hearing. This would just be consideration and decision only. So for just a brief overview, this is for a tall structure permit located at 3878 Brastleton, okay, Highway, for a construction of a 199-foot monopole tower and relief from setback and separation requirements. Specifically, the setback requirement is you have to be whatever half of the height of the tower is set back from the property line, and so they're seeking relief from that requirement. So again, this is the second read, so just a quick reminder, the staff recommendation is approval of the tall structure permit as well as the concurrent variance. Based on the finding that the proposed tower design will mitigate potential negative impacts in the event of a structural failure of the tower. And the planning commission had their meeting on September 23rd, where they also recommended approval of the request and concurrent variance. So that's kind of the short blid, unless there's any questions from the last time.
Any questions from staff? I mean, I'm sorry, from the council to staff.
But no changes since the last read.
Correct. And so you already had the public hearing, we didn't advertise.
We do have to have two, well, this is the second public hearing.
We didn't advertise it as a
We
public
did.
hearing. No, we didn't. We did?
Mm-hmm. It was advertised before the second, so yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that part was covered, yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so I was gonna give a public hearing anyways, because if you're here and we wanna hear your opinion, that's the right thing to do anyways. Is the applicant here, or do they plan to speak on this?
I'm here.
Okay, is there anything you wanna say? I know you spoke to us last time.
Mr. Mayor, I'm John Benke, Prime Tower Development, 5370 Pavilion Green in Memphis, Tennessee. Mr. Mayor, I won't repeat everything I just said at the last hearing, so if you don't mind, I'll reserve my time in case it's needed after any opposition.
Thank you so much. All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this request? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor with the applicant reserving the remainder of their time. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we will open it up for those that would like, if anyone would like to speak in opposition of this particular request. It is limited to 10 minutes. That is in total for all the speakers, so if you would like to speak in opposition, we probably best to leave it to the best 2 or 3 people to talk. So at this time, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this request? All right, hearing none, then I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those in opposition. Is there anything else the applicant would like to say?
Just one thing, you had just a awesome presentation on the East Blast budget items, in particular for safety and security. When we go on air, the first thing that happens is flip on the E911 system. I appreciate your support.
What, I have a quick question, can I ask a question?
Sure, you can ask a question.
Yes, sir.
What does that do when you flip that on this tower?
It means anybody that has a telephone can dial emergency 911.
Okay.
So we do that as a first measure once we go on air. And of course, everything else works, but that is kind of the focus, at least for this evening with the schools.
So part of, excuse me, part of the issue that we have here is that there's a low coverage, and you can see that inside of their application. So there's like an emergency issue that says that cell signals are so low in this area that your call could not go through, your call could be failed. We've experienced some of that even in our new facility. We're looking at getting boosters down here because of the lack of coverage that's here. So this tower, it will help with that, especially in emergency situations, because 911 is the first thing that's connected.
Okay. One more question. Do you know, is there a time frame on when this would be constructed or how long it would take?
The time frame is right away. So the biggest hurdle is actually this. This soaks up the most time because of the calendar.
Sure.
I would say we could break ground no later than February.
Okay.
Maybe sooner. It just depends upon weather and a couple other things, but fairly quickly.
And time frame to construct?
I'm saying it would be built by then.
Operational by then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the council?
I have just a couple. I see the.
I think he's got a couple questions.
Yeah, sorry. I wasn't here the last meeting, so apologies. I probably could ask those questions then, but I'm curious about the aesthetic. How does this, because this is gonna be visually seen from the road, is that right? From one point, yeah. So I see the 35 by 35 fence compound, right?
Yes.
What does it look like? Do we know? Like, is there some design standards that staff is?
So we do not have any design standards inside of our ordinance, and this is
Okay.
something we did talk about at the last meeting.
Okay.
So that's why you'll see down here that there's a text amendment for some of that, because of the fact that we didn't have those design standards. This application was actually with Gwinnett County, but
right.
during the
Gotcha.
transition, right? So when we adopted the ordinance up front for the UDO, there was no design standards for it, so they comply with the transfer.
Gotcha.
But we are now wanting to go through and then add those standards, just for practical reasons, right? We couldn't add those standards before this application was heard, because they were already in the pipeline.
Sure.
Which is why this case is before we have present for the text amendment for the design standards.
Gotcha. Is there, just because you guys do this a lot, right? You do it all.
We do.
Is there certain ways that you mitigate the visual and kind of aesthetic impact on the community through the design?
Sometimes, it just depends. In this case, Councilman, it's not gonna, what you're referring to in the industry is called stealthing. Make it look like a pine tree or a flagpole or something like that. This really doesn't make sense on a Georgia State highway. I mean, you call it Brazelton Highway, but it's at 195 feet. It just would not look correct. So the good news is it's utilitarian and it's a glorified lamppost. So it goes straight up and it's just a pencil line on the skyline. And we were very intentional about choosing this because the main thing that I deal with is how's this gonna impact residential?
Yeah.
So if you're going presumably 40 down Brazelton Highway, this is just not gonna be in your view.
Yeah. One of the things that I see, last question for you is just when you're going down the highway, so it sounds like sometimes, like you mentioned, pencil thin, just going straight up in the air, you might not even see it. Sometimes the way you see those, you'll see these 35 by 35 fence compounds. Sometimes they look like a maximum security prison. Sometimes they're landscaped. It varies quite dramatically. I'm just curious, what's the treatment of the fenced area? So this is the area that's locked, I guess, that your technicians
Yes, sir.
get into, right?
Yeah, so I think you might be pleased with this. Not through anything that I did, but it just so happens the grade goes down.
Okay.
So we will have a wooden fence around it, but it's actually, the compound is gonna be hard to see, even if you parked at the church.
Gotcha.
Going down the road, you simply won't see it.
A lot of people, gotcha.
There's some vegetation behind the highway,
Yeah.
behind this area. Brazelton Highway sits up higher, and then there's the church there.
Yeah.
So though it's still gonna be, a tall tower, you're not gonna see the base of it. And
Because
there's
of the topo or how it
correct.
flows, gotcha. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And I have one question too, just, I don't know if you were here, I know that at last meeting, y'all had discussed that there is part of this tower that's gonna be provided to the city free of charge, right? For some
Absolutely.
Public safety,
Yeah, so we have reserved space, since you weren't here, at 150, the 155-foot mark. That leaves us room for 4 carriers, so we eliminate the proliferation concern. And we have already reserved space both on the tower and at the base for you guys.
That's great, we appreciate that, thank you.
Good.
Is this tower only for one particular cell carrier?
In the beginning, yes, but we've engineered it for 4.
Okay, gotcha. So it'll serve multiple customers?
Yeah, so you're gonna get AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon over time
Yeah, gotcha.
as their needs arise.
Okay.
But AT&T is the initial one, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could use better cell service
I'm with you. All right, any other questions from the council? At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Kyle.
I'll tell you what, I will make the motion to approve the case number TSP 2025-07-1304 and VAR 2025-07-1305 with staff recommendations as presented. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Now, is there any discussion amongst the council about this? Hearing anything? No, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, case number TSP 2025.07-1304 and VAR 2025-07-1305 are approved as with the staff recommendation. Okay. All right, that brings us to consideration of case number TA 07. Jamie, who's going to present that one for us?
Dana will, and this is
Okay.
for the text amendments that you all heard on the second as well.
Yes, so as Jamie mentioned, there was the first read on September 11th, and then the planning commission heard this on August 26th. This text amendment is to align the code with the newly adopted comprehensive plan and character areas. So the big change is the addition of the 2 new zoning classifications, the EQR and EQC, which is intended to be estate-style lots geared towards equestrian uses with the commercial to complement that. And then the other changes are dimensional standards, updates. Those include increasing lot sizes, decreasing density, and so on for most of the residential districts. There also is, shifted bed and breakfast in was moved under lodging establishment. And then we added some language, very short little language regarding after hours work for construction activity, needing a construction noise permit, which then references where that information for the construction noise permit is. And then this is also the public hearing for this text amendment and the next text amendment as well. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the council?
This is just so I'm clear, this is just putting the detail in the associated for the
Yes.
city, right?
Yes, so there's.
Further clarifying.
So this creates the equestrian residential and equestrian commercial zone, as well as some other text amendments, like, for example, right, the ordinance had beforehand that construction hours could only be conducted on Monday through Friday, with light noise on Saturday.
Right.
We feel that no construction should be done on Sunday, with, change of hours on Saturday. A lot of construction is done on Saturday. It's a lot easier to do it for 6 days a week and then just end it on Sunday. That helps speed things along so that it's less of a long-term nuisance when it comes to noise, right? So these are adjustments like that throughout the code that we wanted to make sure we're all encumbered in one large text.
And because we're adding 2 new districts, we had to account for permitted uses in those districts, lot sizes in those districts, and that's
So
the
you,
bulk of
a
the
lot of,
amendments.
so a lot of the detail around those new districts that we've added.
That is
They
correct.
weren't previously part of the.
They were not a part of this, and it also allowed for us to go through and look at some stuff that may have been, limited or permitted use, to go ahead and reclassify and change those a little bit too. So some of that is in there. If you go in and look at the difference, everything will be red in equestrian, residential, and commercial, right? You'll see some red marks in other zones, but that's just because while we were doing it, we might as well do it all at one time.
And then we had to number everything, which
Yeah.
is always fun. If you ever have
So we brought the goat in.
Yeah, that's it. Any other questions from the council? I have a procedural question
Sure.
for the city attorney, probably more so. So this, obviously, it's listed as case number, I guess, TA for text amendment 7, but I've got an ordinance number on here. So would the adoption be the ordinance, or would it be as the TA case approval? Like, what's the proper motion to make in this situation? We gotta have the public hearing first, but what's the?
I'd make the motion on the case number,
Okay.
because it's an adoption it's the case number that you're adopting in the uniform ordinance. So it will be part of the ordinance.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a public hearing component of this. Again, we're 10 minutes for those that want to speak in favor, 10 minutes that want to speak in opposition. So we will open up a public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of case number TA07. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this proposal? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment for those that want to speak in favor. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition of case number TA07? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment for those in opposition. All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion. Actually, I have a question, but it may be too late for me to ask a question.
No, well, you can make your motion and then we'll have discussion. You can ask a question at that point.
Okay, got it. So, I'd make a motion, I guess, that we adopt ordinance 2025-09-153.
I think he said to make the motion to adopt case number TA07 as a text amendment of the ordinance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is TA07. All right, so I'd make a motion that we adopt text amendment to TA07 for consideration case number TA-07
To the Unified Development Code.
to the city's unified development ordinance. Okay, code.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. All right, any discussion?
One just minor piece of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some mention of chickens in here. What is I'll table it and talk with you after the fact. It's fine.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and start
I just-
searching for it, and we can talk.
Specific, I have a minor question on that, and it's not, I viewed the language as fine, I would like to ask you a detailed question about that.
Okay.
So,
Okay, no problem. Any other discussion? All right, then at this time I will call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, I have a vote of 4. Case number TA07 text amendment as presented is hereby adopted as part of the city's Unified Development Ordinance. All right, that brings us to item D, consideration of case number TA08, which is text amendment regarding the city's telecommunication ordinance, which has kind of already been discussed, but go ahead and let staff present.
Sure, so, again, this was the first read on September 11th and heard by the planning commission on August 26th. As Jamie mentioned, this text amendment is really for kind of immediate need changes while we still look at those design aesthetics that was mentioned with the case we just had. So there's additional requirements for radio frequency engineers report has been added. And then we've also referenced the public hearing notice requirements in terms of how we provide that notice in terms of legal ad and newspaper. There used to be some different language in there, and we just want them to be consistent with our other public hearings. There is one change we noticed, it's under section 58-129. Wait, no, sorry, 58-134. If you look past all the striped outs, towards the end of that sentence, you'll notice in the beginning of the paragraph it references the kind of general chapter 270, which is the public hearing procedures and notice procedures. But then the last sentence says notice of the public hearing, including mail notice to property owners and so on. in accordance with section 270-25. That -25 shouldn't be there. We just want to keep the same consistent language of just section 270, like we did with the rest of the paragraph. So that is one hopeful change we can make with the motion in that one sentence.
Any questions from the council? All right, then I will make the motion to adopt text amendment TA
This
0.
needs a public hearing too.
Thank you, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a public hearing requirement for this one as well, so, again, we're gonna give 10 minutes to those who wanna speak in favor, 10 minutes to those who wanna speak in opposition. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of text amendment 08? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment on, for those who speak in favor. Would anyone like to speak in opposition of text amendment 08? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. So at this point, I will make a motion to adopt text amendment TA 08 to the Unified Development Ordinance with one amendment to section 58-134, the last sentence to read, or the last line, second to last line to read, with section 270, removing that -25. Did I get that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to adopt that with that amendment. Do I have to do, I'm sorry, city attorney, do I have to do it?
Fine.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, text amendment TA-08 to Unified Development Ordinance is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to item E, which is a discussion of build to rent, and I understand there's gonna be a motion to table that, so I will make a motion to table that to the November 6th meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, the build to rent ordinance discussion is hereby tabled. That brings us to action item F, which is a discussion of the short-term rentals ordinance. And I would make a motion to table that to the November 6th meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the short-term rental discussion of the ordinance is hereby tabled till November the 2nd. That brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to action item action item M, which is an executive session. I understand we don't need an executive session this evening.
We do not.
All right, so I would make a motion to remove the executive session from tonight's agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, the action item M is hereby removed, and therefore we have no action item N's as well pertaining to the executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming tonight. I know it was a little bit of a long one. Thanks for sticking with us. Everyone, drive safe. Our next meeting is November the 6th, correct? That's our next one? So November the 6th, same place, 6:30, so we will see you there. At this time, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, we're hereby adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.
Good evening.